And now for part two.
Well, I mean, we've discussed sort of our favourite games of the shouting over static era, the ones we played for this podcast specifically. But I mean, what were your experiences with just general gaming in 2018? Since I started with you last time, Mark, I'll start with you this time, Jack. What was your Was there any sort of standout gaming moments for you in 2018 that was not part of shouting over static?
Um, I guess you can all probably guess where I'm going to take this discussion. I think certainly, I guess it. So before we started recording, I did go back through and just try to like refresh my mind about what games had actually come out in 2018 and what ones from memory I really enjoyed playing. Obviously, like I say, I guess the main one for me would be Pokemon.
Yeah,
It's yeah, I guess the fact that it's drawn a lot from Pokemon Go and it's really hitting on, I guess, the nostalgia from the early days of Pokemon and playing Pokemon Yellow for the very first time and getting back into it. It's still there. I must admit I haven't played it for the last couple of days. But yeah, I guess like I completed the game. I guess I completed the main story to the game, so beat the Elite Four, become Pokemon champion. You can go back around and play up again or battle all the other gym leaders again. You can go back and do
yeah,
the Elite Four as many times as you want. One thing that I have been doing, so you get pointed in the direction of going, oh look, here's Cerulean Cave. You should probably go there because there's an ancient Pokemon there, and obviously it's Mewtwo. But Mewtwo's fucking hard. Like, so the three legendary birds and Mewtwo, in order to catch them, first of all, you have to beat them. I think you have to do the same with like the Snorlaxes on the map as well. But in order to catch them, you first have to beat them. And Mewtwo, when you go to him, I think my Pokemon were around level 55 or so, level 60. And you go to Mewtwo and he's level 70. And literally he just uses Psychic or Recover. And he just absolutely shits all over you. Like, no matter what, I guess if you had like Pokemon who were specific to try and beat him with the type matchup, then I guess it would be a little bit easier. But he's a fucking hard dude to catch. Like I still haven't done it. I'm still very much in the phase of trying to train up my Pokemon.
yeah,
And also I've been watching a fuck ton of people like so shiny Pokemon are very much a thing in Pokemon Let's Go,
yeah.
and I've been watching people like basically just people going around catching shiny Pokemon and been trying to do that myself. I haven't had any luck so far. Um, because it is a hell of a lot of like just walking around in the same spot. People use these weird like mechanics in the game where they walk out of one cave and then back into the same cave just to reset like the spawns of the Pokemon.
Yeah.
And also they do this weird thing with the catch combos. So if you catch the same Pokemon like multiple times in a row, you can build up a catch combo. And I think the number, or I guess the perfect number for a catch combo in order to increase your chances of catching a shiny Pokemon is 31. So if you catch like 31 Pidgey in a row, as I understand it, you have an increased chance of catching any shiny Pokemon. So it's not just specific to Pidgey as well. So you can just go around and catch the easiest Pokemon that you want, and then walk off to where you know, like the Pokemon that you want to catch spawns, and then just walk around a bit, use laws and stuff to try and make more Pokemon come to you. So yeah, I've been watching people do that. Like I say, I haven't had much luck with it. I guess one thing that will, I maybe will, I guess Mark might talk about it a bit. Red Dead Redemption 2, obviously, was a big chunk of this year in terms of, I guess, major game releases. Like I say, like that, I, I'm a bit disappointed in myself that I haven't actually gone back and finished it yet. Like I got distracted with work and other stuff, and I just sort of lost my appetite for Red Dead. I know that they've released the online section to it now as well, so I've seen a lot of people having fun with that. I've seen a lot of people releasing weird fucking montages of all the random shit that happens in the online part of it. But yeah, I think really, I'm trying to think back to like before summer, if there were any big games that I might have played before then. I can't at the moment. I can't for the life of me remember what early 2018 looked like.
I
But
mean, I'm currently going through a list of 2018 game releases,
okay,
and There wasn't a huge amount at the beginning of the year that was like really massive.
Yeah.
The year really picked up kind of later, like after the first few months. I don't know. I mean, it depends what you're into, right? Because there was a lot of games, but
When was like Mario?
Mario,
Odyssey.
Was that last year?
Last year, last
yeah.
October.
Okay, now.
I mean, I have been playing a bunch of F1, like the Formula One game, but that's just because I'm a massive racing car fan. Like, I'm hoping to get Forza 4 soon as well.
Yeah, I mean that's supposed to be really, really good, isn't it?
Yeah. From what I've heard and all of the reviews that I've been reading, I think Chor as well, who comes on the podcast, he's been playing it. He's got it, and he seems to speak very highly of it as well. So I'm looking forward to if I do get a chance to pick that up over Christmas. I'm looking forward to sitting down and playing some of that. But yeah, I mean, what about you, Dylan? What are your highlights of 2018?
Well, I mean, as I've sort of said already, and at various points on this show, I very much stick to a game and play the living shit out of it. So I played a lot of Destiny because I got that last Christmas, my birthday, around then. So I played a lot of Destiny 2 the entire year, which I've loved. But then sort of halfway through the year, I don't know, end of summer maybe? Can't really remember when I picked it up. But I got Dead Cells as well, which again I've spoken about on this show a few times. And another one that I just sort of sunk all of my video gaming time into. Because it's one of those, I guess... It's one of those ones where you can just keep repeating sort of... You're doing the same thing over and over again because it's like roguelike and random. And I mean, Mark, you've had this sort of experience with me. We played a sort of Risk of Rain and stuff like that together, which I guess is a similar experience, right? You've got semi-randomly generated things, and you're constantly punished for everything, but you sort of slowly unlock stuff even when after you've died. And it's actually, thinking about it, surprisingly similar. But the movement and stuff is all quite different still. And it's just, I think we spoke about it before I ever got it as well. But like when seeing it being like, that looks like a game for me and seems like a game for me, and it just was. It just the perfect thing to sort of really get stuck into and not have to. And it's like it's not got a particularly fleshed out linear story through it. There is something, but not really. The entire sort of story is told through little bits you find around the map. So like occasionally your random map will generate a random room that has a little bit of lore and maybe a weapon or maybe some gold or whatever.
That's quite cool.
And then sort of as you get further and further on, sometimes you just get rooms they don't have anything else in other than more hints to this really strange story and strange world that's going on. And so like you sort of get the first rough idea of what's happening immediately. Basically, you kind of know that there's some kind of plague or illness that has stricken this castle, world, land, whatever. And I think you're essentially fighting the dead people who live there because there's lots of zombies and stuff. But as you go through, you kind of start coming along more rooms of like alchemists and their grimoires and stuff, talking about how they've tried to fight this and and various things they've done that might not necessarily have been so nice to try and fix it. And it gives more clues to like the history of your character and things like that, because I think essentially your character is dead bodies that an alchemist has been experimenting on. And which is another actually quite good little Easter egg thing. As you go through, there's various rooms in between each level where everything sort of pauses and you can upgrade your stuff, that kind of stuff. But one of the backgrounds is so this guy who gives you what are called mutations, which kind of like help you out in each level, in each run through. Behind him, there's a little pipe and a pile of dead bodies. But as you keep playing through these run-throughs, the pile gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So the idea is that it's just a pile of your dead bodies. So there's like little things like that sort of hint towards, and it's just one of those sort of expanded. There's definitely a bigger world there that it's fun to think about and really sort of grabs your intrigue, but never really quite gives you enough to allow you to let it go. I guess you never quite get the answers that make you want to give it up. But yeah. And then obviously Destiny, I talk about all the time. I just like that.
Yeah, obviously.
I don't think I've ever really gone so much into Dead Cells on this, but Destiny I definitely have. So
Dead Cells seems really cool. It's in my Steam wish list. It's fully out now as well, isn't it? It's come out of early access.
I bought it
it's
when
the
it was fully
1.0.
out. I bought it after it came out. Early access.
I would like to play some of that, though. With the way my life goes, I can't imagine I'll ever get around to it, which is a shame because it looks really cool. But
the thing is as well, it's one of those things that you don't have to dedicate any time to it because it's like a single run through, and the first few times you play it, you're gonna get like maybe 5-10 minutes in before you die. And then once you get good enough to get towards the end, you're never playing for more than like 40 minutes in a single run through, and you will end up playing more just because you just play a few run throughs. But it's very easy to just give it a very little amount of time and still really enjoy it, which I think is kind of what I like about it so much. Sometimes we'll be waiting for something, or like I've just got a tiny little bit of time. You can just play one game and it doesn't. Whereas, like, for example, Destiny is you have to have at least an hour, right, to play that.
Yeah, really.
It's quite hard to really. There's not much point going into it if you don't have more than an hour, like maybe half an hour, but you're not gonna have fun. But
to do anything worthwhile, really.
Yeah, exactly. But Dead Cells, you can have like 5 minutes and you can still play it. Because you can just give up halfway through as well, and it'll take you back to it when you come back.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I mean,
it seems like a super cool game. I expect to see that pop up in a lot of Game of the Year lists.
Yeah, I mean,
around the patch as that
it was nominated for a few
happen.
Game of the Wars, a few of the Game Award stuff.
Didn't it win
won
something?
Best Indie, didn't it? It won Best Indie Game, I suppose.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I can see why, because it's good shit. I still wish I'd got Celeste. Maybe I should just buy that.
I think Celeste also won some awards, didn't
Yeah.
it? Celeste also looks really fucking cool too. And like Celeste has got that hot Towerfall pedigree, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you know how much I love Towerfall.
More than anything else on the planet.
Potentially. There's another one of those games that Katie got annoyed at me for playing. I think, no, that was Speedrunners, but in that era of when we used to play games, and I played it too much, so I was better than people.
You used to just fucking work people at Towerfall, didn't you?
Oh, man. I loved it. It's the only reason I like that game, because I'm better than people at it.
It's a good enough reason, I guess.
It's pretty good now. It's also, like, I played the single player on that and still loved it. It's apparently I love 2D games.
You just can't deal with that third dimension, mate. Depth, it's a real fucker.
It's too much. I got one eye.
That's not true.
Not that screens allow you to use more than that anyway. Also, yeah, not true. But, you know, my interest has one eye.
I don't know, looking at 2018, a lot of games come out in 2018 that I'm super, super into and haven't played.
Yeah.
2018's been a really weird year for me, where the games that I have played, when I sort of look through my list, like, it's obviously all the games that we played together as a posse. I played 20 hours of Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands, which is not a sentence.
Oh, brilliant. Say, what a game, I forgot about that.
If I'm being completely honest. Because that is not a... That's not a 2018 game, but yeah, and like it's weird things like that where I played a lot of older games this year in weird spots, and like I finally played through all of Yakuza 0 this year, and like stuff like that, and it was good, enjoyable, but not a huge 2018 highlight. But I guess like 2018, the two that really stand out for me are God of War and Hitman 2.
Yeah.
And God of War is phenomenal. And I'm just completely heartbroken that my PlayStation deigned to destroy that save and take that from me. But really, really, like, it's interesting because there was a bit there where I was alternating between God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
And Red Dead Redemption 2 is an incredibly directed experience. So everything that it shows you a lot of things, and the things it shows you are incredibly well put together. And then, whereas God of War is much more like here are these areas, and they're not as big or as like vast or as simulated as Red Dead, but they're like exponentially more detailed. Like I found myself just looking at tiny bits of animation and like particle effects and all sorts of these really small little details throughout God of War, and just being totally blown away by it. Like, yeah, God of War's really cool. Like, I want to play more of it, and I don't want to play the first 20 hours of it again. And I'm just so upset about that. But it's, yeah, like the look of it, and even down to their little camera trick they do, where it's all one shot, is just super well done.
Yeah.
In a way that makes the whole thing feel really polished. Like every single little tiny bit in that game was put there and crafted precisely so that you could look at it in a specific way and be like, holy shit, that's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
And like the combat in it is great. The way they've like updated God of War combat for 2018 is brilliant. It still feels like light and heavy attack like the old days, but by sort of changing it to the axe, to the Leviathan axe from the Blades of Chaos, and making it so that you're like it's instead of that like quite high angle those original God of War games had, making it that like over the shoulder thing, it makes it feel a lot heavier and a lot more like weighty and grim, like you're really in it, and that's a really cool addition to it. Yeah, it's the similarities I found in terms of the detail and the direction and the way that it feels like impeccably handcrafted. The similarity between God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2, I thought was really striking, especially when I started to find that God of War did it better, I guess, is the point I'm trying to make. There is like they both do a very similar thing, but God of War does it better, and I don't think it's that it does it's more detailed. I think it's that it uses what it has far more effectively, and in an era now where these big budget games are trying to be like cinematic, quote unquote, and like Red Dead Redemption 2 100% just actually wants to be like a cowboy movie. Like it barely even wants to be a video game, really. Like especially with how much Red Dead Redemption 2 seems to reject the notion of player experience. It's incredible that God of War 2 manages to actually be more cinematic and a tighter player experience, even though it's way less. It doesn't beat you around the head as much with it, and I think that's just fucking commendable. I'm so heartbroken that my save got corrupted and I can't finish it off immediately, and I'm probably gonna have to wait a little bit until I've forgotten the first half of it. And then I've spoken about Hitman 2 at great length quite recently on this podcast, so just go back and listen to that. Hitman 2 is fucking rad.
I mean, you loved Hitman 1 so much that it was to be expected. I think with that God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2 stuff, even Hitman, it's, I think, quite telling of, and this has been said in plenty of places, but I think it's quite telling of the sort of, I don't know, the theme of 2018 in games. It's almost quite polarizing for some other reasons, but I think there's definitely this sort of focus on single player experiences having, for a little bit they seem to take somewhat of a backdrop, and you had these games like Destiny, like Anthem, not yet out obviously, but sort of I think came from this era of games as a service and sort of constantly being engaged with other people in these games. But I think this year you've had this experience of you don't have to be online to engage with other people about a game. Like, people talk about God of War and Spider-Man, and if you think about how sort of there was like that maybe a week or two after Spider-Man came out where Reddit was maybe like 50% Spider-Man photos.
Yeah, man.
And like people are still engaging with each other on these games, but they're single player. And you don't need to have this sort of well, I mean, I guess Doom, which we talked about in what I guess is the last episode at this point, is somewhat example of this. I guess you don't need to push multiplayer into your game, and I don't think necessarily you need to have a multiplayer game for it to be good nowadays, just because everything's online, and for it to be this worldwide sensation. Because, like, I think 2018 has been the year of these single player stories, right? Even if it's kind of started with games like Witcher 3, which didn't come out this year.
Single player came back in a really big way this year.
Yeah.
Like 2017, like we have an episode of this podcast from 2017 that is all about like, shit man, everything at the moment seems to be a live game with some multiplayer elements to it. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And then 2018, as if somehow to prove us wrong, just came back and was like, nah, look at all this shit. And yeah, just it was very much the year of a lot of big, impressive single player games from
all on PlayStation.
And from the indie space and the AAA space, right? Like you've literally just spoken about Dead Cells, which is not a multiplayer game,
and I mean even Celeste, right? Again,
and and they are two games that
have done incredibly well,
phenomenally well received.
And then
in a space that was maybe, I mean, obviously indie games do tend to be single player focused, but like just phenomenally were like critically beloved. And then like in the AAA space, as you said, like Spider-Man was huge, God of War was huge, Red Dead is huge. Like big
they have
games.
squeezed in online, but whatever.
But that's GTA, right? Like
that's because they know they can make fuck tons of money. So
yeah, like I would argue that they're almost two separate games.
Yeah, I mean GTA Online and GTA 5, I'd say are, even though they came together, they're different games at this point.
Yeah.
And I think the same can be. I think you're right. I think the same can be said of Red Dead. It's Red Dead Redemption 2 and Red Dead Online.
Yeah. I don't know, man. 2018's been all right.
Yeah, I mean, even looking through this list of stuff that came out now, it's just like it's been. Do you remember the fucking Labo or whatever Nintendo called it? That was
building cardboard on 420.
Oh, talk about a single player experience.
Yeah, true say.
Or at least a local experience. Yeah, I mean, one thing that did catch my eye, and it didn't come out this year, but it came out on Xbox this year, which is why it's come up here. That none of us have played, but we definitely had some things to say last year about No Man's Sky. And
I've played quite a bit of No Man's Sky actually recently.
Have?
Yeah, I ended up getting it over summer and played quite a chunk of it.
I think we've spoken about this actually, me and you. But that game seems to have changed so much. Like I've heard people talk about that game with actually quite high regard at this point. That it's taken a while, but it actually managed to get to one of these incredibly sort of well put together exploration games that's actually quite good to play. But at the same time, do we really want games to go down the level of when you buy them they're bad and you just have to hope that by the time before it sort of dies off they've fixed it and it's good now? You don't want to that's like pre-ordering with some weird extra steps.
Yeah, I mean that is if you want to talk about trends that we've been talking about since the beginning of this show that haven't gone away, it is games coming out that are broken as fuck.
And I mean,
and nothing being done about it, and like fucking it's rough. That whole scene is just bad, and the fact that still happens, and the fact that you look at the new releases on Steam, and half of them have got mixed reception that just say, the game's fucking broken, man.
Yeah. It's outrageous that it's come from this sort of early access place, right? That some games, I mean, if they put it in early access, you could kind of expect it, because you're basically getting a beta, right? But they're still charging a full price, which is a bit ridiculous. But you get so many games now that aren't even coming out early access that do it, like No Man's Sky did it. Destiny, I think, is another one. It came out. It was Destiny 2. While it was fun to play, it still didn't have enough to be considered a full game. And only now, a year later, is this incredible game. Yeah. And like Fallout 76, I think, is the obvious, most evident, recent. What's the word?
pile of shit.
Yeah.
Burning garbage fire.
Like, maybe eventually that will be good. Maybe. But, because Elder Scrolls Online, we've spoken about this exact thing before, right? Elder Scrolls Online did similar. It started off, people kind of thought it was rubbish. But now it's actually meant to be pretty good.
Such a clusterfuck, though.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to talk about
worst.
biggest clusterfuck of the year in terms of video games, Fallout 76 is just... Oh my god. Have you seen the most recent news, which is that the Atom store, like the in-game store in Fallout 76 on the PlayStation, may actually have data leaks in it.
Oh yeah, I
might
did see
actually
this,
be leaking
Jesus
like
Christ.
user information. Like, what a shit show of a release that is.
Been out, like...
And you saw that they're actually making the canvas bags now as well, right?
Yeah, they've said that they're actually having... Which I think is only fair, right? You can't...
Oh, totally. Like, you can't tell everyone you're going to make a canvas bag and then not give them it. But also, how fucking funny is that?
There's no way that... Like, there's no way that this comes back from... Saying that, though, it will now, won't it? But it seems ridiculous that anybody would actually go back into Fallout 76 after everything that's happened.
Yeah.
I'm sure people will.
I logged into the Bethesda Net launcher the other day. I don't know why. I was just seeing if I even still had a login for it, if I'm honest. And I think Fallout 76 is actually on sale at the moment.
Oh wow! There was another game that happened with fairly recently. I mean, Battlefield. It's happened with. It's already gone down in price because nobody's playing it. Battlefield 5. There was another game a few months ago though that after like a few weeks was down. I think it was maybe it was actually even Fallout 76 to be honest, but it was during maybe the Black Friday sales or something.
Fallout 76 the week after it came out, and the Black Friday sales was
it was Fallout 76. Yeah, okay.
It was like 30% off, and
Yeah.
it is currently 33% off on the BNet launcher as well. Or BNet and Bethesda Net.
Not even on Black Friday, and I mean like
Yeah.
Overwatch doesn't even get that kind of discount because people still play it and it's a good game.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, just fuck me, man. Fallout 76, what a shit show.
Yeah.
And you know what? I see a fair amount of people on Reddit and Twitter and other places just being like, you know what? I quite like playing this, and good for you. But I think if you cannot also see that there are significant problems with everything, you're not even talking about the gameplay. I don't even want to mention the gameplay.
Yeah.
You've got to talk about there has been significant problems with this launch. You are blinded because this has been one of the shoddiest video game launches I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, you're not even talking about. Like, it's not the game that's bad that should be why you don't buy it. Because, yeah, you could still enjoy it, but it's these kind of practices that if you buy that, you're supporting the release of an incomplete game and basically just completely lying to their customers about what they're going to get. And there's an element of sort of, I guess, campaigning with your money, right? If you don't buy these things, they'll stop making them or they'll stop doing it, which is what you want. Because, maybe there won't be a Battlefield next year.
I mean, they probably won't, right? It'll be a Battlefront.
Oh, yeah, true. But I don't know. Because, like, that sort of thing, people stopped liking the way it was being done and stopped buying it. So that's kind of the lesson you learn, right? But hopefully they'll do the same with stuff like Fallout 76. People will see that can happen. That's what you get for pre-ordering a game. Get a nylon bag. That's what you deserve.
I don't know, mate. The last game that I pre-ordered in the special edition was great because I still have that little fucking scale opposable punished snake hand from Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh, that
and
is
that
pretty
hand
cool.
That hand is fucking great.
But
so whatever.
This is also one of those things we've spoken about before as well. Pre-orders aren't necessarily so bad if you're definitely going to buy the game anyway.
Yeah.
And then you just get an extra thing, right? Which is pretty cool. Because, and in these things, like, you're obviously going to have gotten any Metal Gear game that came out.
There wasn't a force in the verse that could stop me, mate.
It could have literally just been a Blu-ray case with some poo in it. And you'd probably have bought it.
Would it be exclusive poo?
Yeah. PS4 only
Okay.
too.
Oh, yeah, okay, maybe.
And like, there's games for me. Like, I will definitely buy the next Halo, obviously, even if it's shit. Because 5, started off a bit rubbish. I'll definitely buy it, so I'll probably pre-order it so I can get something cool. But
Yeah.
I think other things, like, yeah, there are some people who are that way about Fallout, but I think there are a lot of people who still pre-order for games that they're not necessarily that passionate about, just because they want this stuff.
And I feel like Fallout in its current incarnation, as somebody who's actually, I've played 3 and New Vegas and 4, I haven't played 76, but I don't think that the Bethesda era Fallout has necessarily earned unquestioning pre-orders. Like, Fallout 3 is a phenomenal fucking video game.
Yeah.
Fallout New Vegas is also very, very good. Is not actually a Bethesda game.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Fallout 4, I thought was so powerfully disappointing.
Yeah. Like,
That
I've heard people say
Yeah.
similar things, like they enjoy it, right? But there's not really. You might as well just play Fallout 3
Yeah.
because it's going to be cheaper and still about the same experience.
and better.
Yeah.
It's way better.
This is kind of why I'm really excited for the Outer Worlds. Which was another
Shit.
thing we didn't get to talk about on... Did we talk about it on our 2019
No.
episode?
No,
Don't
because
think
it hadn't been announced yet, because it was announced at the Game Awards.
Yeah.
All the current state of Outer Worlds coverage on this podcast is me watching the trailer for it and talking over the trailer in the episode that went up about the VGAs. Outer Worlds looks fucking cool, man.
Yeah. I'm quite excited for that. Like, I think I probably will end up, if it doesn't end up being shit, giving it a go. Because it looks fun, but... Again,
sure.
Wouldn't pre-order it. And that's why we hadn't talked about Hades yet as well, isn't it? Because that was another one that was announced at VGAs. But
For real. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I've spoken about 2018 enough,
yeah.
and I've got things to get done. I've got to go to the bottle bank.
Oh, man.
Well,
Talk about being an
man.
adult.
How fucking lame is it? We've got to go to the bottle bank, and we have to go put air. We have to go put air in the tires for our big drive tomorrow.
We should definitely start an adult podcast where we just talk about the things we've done recently that make you feel like an adult.
Sounds like the most boring podcast.
It just felt like cleaning today. It was getting a bit untidy, so I thought, you know what, I'll give my house a nice clean and feel good about myself.
Did some vacuuming. I felt like my dad.
I made some nice savoury scones because, my life's been a bit too sweet recently and my teeth hurt.
I've not really done anything today.
Oh.
I mean,
I didn't actually
guess-
do those things today. That was just examples.
Yeah, I haven't done any vacuuming. you can tell as well.
Same here. Failing at being an adult. But I feel like that is also half of what being an adult is, right? So,
Yeah.
Just stumbling through life, but somehow being able to afford it.
anyway, we'll let you get back to the real world. I don't know if there's any...
2018's been alright.
Yeah, I agree. I've had a good experience.
I think 2019 has some potential.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, with what is I saw what's going to be coming out on the Switch next year for 2019, and I was just, shit, man, more reasons to buy a Switch.
I mean, we've got, as we joked when we recorded it, because we recorded our 2019 podcast, which will be going up the week after this one, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
3 weeks? We recorded it before the VGAs.
I think it was like...
And...
Yeah.
Yeah, and that means that there's a few announcements. There are a few things that we could have probably put in that podcast that we didn't. But
Definitely.
there are going to be some games in 2019. What I'm really hoping is that... what I'm suspecting is that I probably won't buy any of the big releases from the first couple of months of the year and try and use that as the finishing up my 2018 backlog time. But I don't know how that's going to go.
Yeah. What about Anthem, though? Oh, it's just too exciting. Flying. Do love Flying.
Those suits do look really good.
Yeah.
If Anthem was actually just a robot suit that let you fly around, then yeah, I'd probably get it.
As in, like a real life robot
is
suit,
it-
not just a game.
No, a real life robot suit.
For 40 quid, I'd definitely do that.
Hell yeah. Iron Man on a budget.
Do you have any final remarks, Jark? Combined your names there.
Oh, goddamn.
Final remarks, Jack.
Not really. Yeah, I mean, I guess just to reiterate what you guys said. 2018 has been a good year for video games, especially the single player stuff, and I guess onwards and upwards into 2019. Hopefully, get video game developers and publishers can all learn from the mistakes that they might have made in 2018 and build on them and just improve.
Yeah. Oh, one thing actually. We'll make this the final because you've reminded me of this, Jack. I saw an article. Apparently, there's a video game makers developers union has just formed in the UK.
Yes.
So
awesome.
that will hopefully
Excellent.
stop stuff like the 100-hour work weeks at Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead Redemption,
Yes,
Rockstar.
and I hope that union is open to everybody from all ranges, because one of the stories that came out of that Red Dead stuff is that Rockstar Leeds, which is their studio in Leeds where they do a lot of their QA work, is like the most savagely overworked Rockstar studio, and apparently it's like a fucking sweatshop in there of people just having an absolutely terrible fucking time. So what I hope is that union takes off and everybody from QA all the way up to development leads get to join it and have a voice, and things will be good. I think that's a good thing. I think there is nothing bad that can come from that, especially as somebody who, as I've already said, doesn't necessarily have a lot of time to play video games. So everyone wants to just like chill out and take maybe 50% longer to make all their games, and that would give me more time to play them. I'm on board.
Just make it take longer, and then I can play all your games. Good stuff.
Like, if you guys just want to work a 37.5-hour work week instead of like 60-hour work weeks and just take a bit longer, go for it. I'm there. I'm on board. Let's do it.
If only
Or at least
everybody had
get
the same-
paid for working longer, I guess.
Yeah, that would also be good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Patience is a virtue.
well, I guess that is this will be us rounding out 2018 as well. So that's it from us at Shouting Over the Static for 2018. And see you in 2019, I guess. I think we'll be starting with Sleeping Dogs, maybe some point in January.
Yeah.
We'll be
I
talking
haven't played anywhere near enough of it to talk about it. So
Oh,
unless you guys want to do
maybe
it as a two-parter where we talk about like the first couple of hours and then talk about the rest of it, we're not starting with a Sleeping Dogs episode.
Okay, maybe we'll be finishing January with the Sleeping Dogs episode.
That sounds about right.
But-
Like I said, I tried to play God of War as my big thing. I'm not going to get into that right now. Merry Christmas. This will be going up on Boxing Day, so Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
And a Happy New Year.
See you in 2019.
Nice.